Check this out. One of the more annoying and aggravating misconceptions about us is it occurs in the workplace. There are so many stories, movies, TV shows, and so on that perpetuate the myth of our skills and the fact that we're supreme fighters, that your coworkers believe this myth. So if there's a problem in the workplace, there's some sort of physical altercation or expectation of a physical confrontation, well, it doesn't matter what your job is. You could be an IT supervisor, you could be a clerk, you could be a teacher, an account executive. It doesn't matter. If your coworkers think there's going to be some kind of physical confrontation, and they know that you train as a martial artist, they will run to you and they will expect you to handle the situation. Because you're a martial artist, because they know that you train, your coworkers suddenly view you as the office enforcer. You are your coworkers' personal bodyguards. And again, something is about to happen or something is going to happen, they will thoroughly expect you to get in there and take care of it and kick somebody in the face or execute some kind of exotic martial art move. Now, if you happen to handle that situation in a calm, restrained manner, and the situation is resolved, but there's no physical altercation or anything, your coworkers, they're disappointed. They wanted to see you in action. Even if your job is in security, you could be hospital security, school security officer, or something like that. There are rules in place, there are laws in place and it differs from city to city and from state to state, but you just can't walk up to somebody and put your hands on them. You can't just walk up and smack somebody upside the head because they were doing something. No, then you do that, then all of a sudden you have a problem. You face some kind of legal repercussions, or your job is going to have to let you go or something like that. Despite what you may see in TV and despite what they say in movies and what have you, you can't put your hands on somebody. Again, there are laws in place, there are rules, there are regulations. Companies, corporations may have different rules about certain things. Despite your training and despite what your coworkers may believe and think, again, you just can't walk up to somebody and, do something to them. Even if it may be justified. I have an example. Years ago, in between films, like a lot of us, I ended up being a teacher, and so I was working for the Board of Ed. Well, somehow in the particular school I was in, they discovered that I was, a black belt, and I went from doing what I normally did to suddenly being the one to escort the female teachers into the classrooms where we would have the problem children. I would suddenly be assigned the students who were known to be violent. And when I went to the principal and questioned this, asking her, what was going on, she said, well, given your background, we feel that you should be able to handle this situation. I went, wait a minute. Because I'm a martial artist, you're going to put me into these situations. I can't put my hands on these kids. These are minors. And this other woman that was in the office, and there's always one. There's always one in every workplace. This woman had to say, oh, so big bad karate man is afraid of doing this thing to children. I thought you were big and bad and blah, 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 yakety schmackety and all this other stuff. Well, when she got finished, I just said, okay, well, listen, here's the thing. I need a letter, a document of some kind from the Board of Ed stating that I will be held harmless, that I'm not going to be responsible if I have to do something and I have to put my hands on one of these children because you decide that, you know, I am the black enforcer for this school. I am the bodyguard for all these teachers. I want some documentation stating that so I will not be held accountable for anything. Plus, since this is not part of my job description, I came here as a teacher. You suddenly want me to be security officer? I want additional compensation. I want additional pay. Of course, after I said all that, they were quiet. You know, not too long after that, I may even say like a day or two after that, I left that school. And then, lo and behold, a couple of weeks afterwards, a buddy of mine who also trained, I forgot who he trained with, but he trained with Professor Powell. We were both working at the same school. And there was he had to help another teacher against a violent student. And after he restrained the student, you know, police were called and all this other kind of stuff. Well, not too long after that, he got a notice from the school and the Board of Ed. He was being sued by the parents of that student. You know, we lost contact, you know, after I left the school. I heard about this. And unfortunately, what I'm telling you now is secondhand information. But from what I understand, the lawsuit and the problems that this young man had lasted for a couple of years before it was resolved. You know, really, you don't want to go through all that. Here's the thing. You can't put your hands on somebody. So these people in the workplace, they don't think that way. It's not part of their mentality. And unfortunately, a lot of the movies and TV shows and what have you don't emphasize that, and they don't show that. They don't show what happens to you or to the person that came to the other person's aid and put their hands on somebody, et cetera, and so forth. I can't remember any movie with Michael Jai White or, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme or anybody where after they, you know, helped somebody, they suddenly had all these legal problems because, you know, they put their hands on somebody. You know, they don't do, But a movie, TV show, showing what happens after that, the after effects of doing that.